guys, so today I'm going to be talking about opera singer Marian Anderson. Here's a picture of her. So Marian loved to sing. At 6 years old, Marian was in the children's choir of her church in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Even then, her voice was strong and clear as she sang the songs she loved with devotion and joy. Her friends were not surprised when at 8 years old, Marian won the prize at the church recital, 50 cents. Even with all her natural talent, Marian knew that she needed to study and work hard to be a professional singer. But when she was out of high school and old enough to seriously study music, there wasn't enough money to pay for a teacher. Marian was deeply grateful when her friends, who had listened to her sing with the choir, raised the money to pay for a well-known voice instructor. Marian never forgot that it was their kindness and generosity that made everything that came later possible. It is very unusual for someone to have the ability to sing both high notes, like many women soprano singers, and low notes, like many male singers. Marian was one of those unusual people, and she trained hard to build strength and control. Her teacher was so confident in her abilities that he entered her in a singing contest, and this time the prize was more than 50 cents. The winner would sing with the famous New York Philharmonic Orchestra in a huge outdoor amphitheater for thousands of people who paid for tickets to hear the music. Her teacher was right to feel confident because 300 singers entered the contest and Marian won. She gave an amazing performance with the New York Philharmonic, and anyone would think that she would have had hundreds of invitations to sing after that. But the year was 1925. And Marian was a black woman in a country where black people were not treated the same as white people. The restrictive laws against African Americans and the attitudes held by many people of that time made it very difficult for Marian. So when she had a chance to go to Europe, she did. In Europe, Marian studied and continued to train her voice, and she sang a lot. Marian became famous across the continent of Europe. She gave performances for the King of Sweden and the King of Denmark. She sang in Paris and London and toured Italy, Austria, Spain, Poland, Latvia, and Russia. She was praised by royalty, conductors, and music lovers everywhere she went. The color of her skin was not a concern. People just wanted to hear her sing. By the time she returned to the United States, she was known as one of the greatest singers in the world. Back in America, Marian was invited to the White House by President Franklin Roosevelt and his wife Eleanor. Marian was the first African American to be invited to the White House and the first to sing for the president. It seemed an even higher honor than singing for a king, and Marian said it was the only time she ever experienced stage fright. But despite her nervousness, she must have done well because they asked her to come again when the King and Queen of England were visiting. Marian was happy to be home in the United States, and she gave concerts throughout the country. She was deeply aware of the suffering caused by the idea that people with dark skin did not deserve the same treatment as those with light skin. She did what she could to change that belief. In the South, where barriers are particularly strong, she insisted on having seating available up front for black audience members. Usually, the black ticket holders had only the poorest seats in the black section, although they paid the same ticket price as those up front. It was a small victory, but it was something she could do. Then something happened that drew a lot of attention to Marian and the unfairness of racial discrimination. Marian and the people who helped arrange her concerts requested permission to use a large concert hall in Washington, D.C. The organization that owned the hall refused. No other reason was given except the color of her skin. Many people were shocked and took notice. When the President and First Lady found out, they took action and gave permission for the concert to be held somewhere else on the morning of April 9, 1939. It was Easter morning, and the place they chose was the Lincoln Memorial, a beautiful and grand monument in the most public part of Washington, D.C. Outside, on the steps in front of the memorial's large statue of Abraham Lincoln, Marian Anderson gave a free concert. Over 75,000 people stood or sat outside to hear the music. The concert was also broadcast on the radio, and millions more were able to listen at home. It was a cold morning, and Marian had to wear a heavy coat over her lovely gown, But no one minded the chill, as the warm voice of Marian Anderson filled the air and filled the hearts of all those who came. Many were touched by Marian's voice, and many were inspired by her example of beauty, kindness, and strength in the face of racial inequality. She continued to sing for all who would listen, and her voice helped people feel the one spirit that exists everywhere. What do you think it would feel like to sing in front of a king, a queen, or a president? Marian sang many kinds of songs. What kinds of songs do you like to sing? How do you think it would feel to be told you couldn't sit where you wanted to at a concert because of what you looked like? And how do you think music helps people feel good inside? Can you sing a song that makes people feel good?